episode of RollTime TV with your host. You doing? If not, shit, go check out some of my old videos. I'll see you stupidity, fuckery. Other than that, let's get into it.
I saw him 5 days later at the VMAs and it was all love. So it's just like, I almost wish he had come in there on that shit because I kind of lost like a little respect for the sentiment.
Bro, I'm sorry, man. I just can't. I can't. And I'm not even trying to be mean or nothing. Like everybody's already doing that shit for me, bro. It's just like I can't take Drake serious as a thug or as a big like nigga. When I see you with up, nigga, up and it's stuck. Fuck you talking about? You feel me? Like that nigga was on Aiden Ross stream, bro. Like in my mind, like I'm listening. It just more and more. It just seems or sounds like Drake is trying to be more and more niggerous. I know that ain't a word, but I'm gonna just make it a word. More niggerous. Like when I see two bad ones. You feel me? Fuck what you talk about. Hey, nigga, you don't even talk like that for real, for real. My bad, but I don't know. He like
Of the verse.
it's like the black like the ghetto. What like it's so funny how a nigga wants to betray the black community or want to act so much of the culture or whatever, but then disgrace the black girl. The
If it's really fuck everybody, then it needs to be fuck everybody. It just can't be halfway for the sake of the
that
people.
nigga came in the building. I was gonna smack fuck out his mouth, but he ain't come with that same energy. So I just let it.
What is it me for?
I watch him pander with them backhanded compliments.
How many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest to ever touch microphone? Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I.
Put their head on the Cuban link as a monument.
When you think of some of the most legendary runs that a single rapper has had in a single year, many of you will probably turn back to Tupac in 1996. Shortly after being released from jail, Tupac gave us his legendary double disc album, All Eyes on Me. And after his tragic passing later in the year, his legacy lived on with what many consider his best album, Don Illuminati, The 7 Day Theory.
I got advice from my father, all he told me was this, nigga, get off your ass if you plan to be rich.
You might also turn to 1998 and think of DMX dropping two classic #1 albums back-to-back in the same year and performing in front of 200,000 people at Woodstock. Or you might think of 2002 when Eminem gave us one of the highest-selling albums of all time with The Eminem Show, along with the #1 hit Lose Yourself, and one of the highest-grossing hip-hop movies of all time with 8 Mile. Or you could flip a year later and look at his protege 50 Cent, whose debut album Get Rich or Die Trying made an impact scary enough to have Jay-Z warn his entire label to step out of the way while 50 Cent reigned over the culture. Maybe you'd skip a few years later to 2008 when Lil Wayne sold 1 million copies in the first week with his magnum opus, The Carter 3. However, whatever year or rapper that comes to mind, I'd like to ask you this. Have any of these artists had the impact or the accolades that Kendrick Lamar has received in 2024? Numbers, bars, impact, praise, accomplishments. We've seen Kendrick check every box this year, and if you doubt for a second that this was one of the most supernatural runs that a rapper has ever had, then stick around till the end of the video. However, the craziest part is that if you take it back all the way to the beginning of 2024, then you'll remember that this year was shaping up to be one of Kendrick's quietest years yet. In fact, people anticipated his cousin Baby Keem's upcoming project more than they did the next Kendrick Lamar album. See, in January 2024, we were approaching the second year that we hadn't heard from Kendrick since Mr. Morale. And given the long break that he took between Damn and Mr. Morale, many of us only assumed it might be even longer till we get the next Kendrick album this time around, given the fact that Mr. Morale showed us Kendrick had a lot of healing to do mentally and had grown comfortable in his spot in hip-hop and the silence and peace that he now protects, even ending his song Savior, a song where he declared to the
listen to this.
to the world that he is not indeed hip-hop's savior by rapping, and they like to wonder where I've been, protecting my soul in the valley of silence. So while Drake and J. Cole were giving us project after feature after hit record, arguing for who was the hottest MC, is it K. Dot, Aubrey, or Cole, who is the top guy in the big three, Kendrick was seemingly protecting his peace and privacy by dropping out of the battle for Best MC and instead battling to better his mental health. But to many people's surprise, we actually did hear from Kendrick very early on in the year. He previewed a brand new record at the Chanel show at Paris Fashion Week way back in January of 2024. This was the first time we heard from Kendrick since Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers in 2022, aside from a feature that he did on a Beyonce song in 2023, where he ironically foreshadowed a lot of 2024's events by rapping, "Truthfully, I be lying in my rap songs cause I always fail to mention that I'd slap homie. His career didn't come with no life insurance. Hope his day one fans got some facts on them." But now we're in January of 2024, and the energy that Kendrick came with on the record that he premiered at the Chanel fashion show was the farthest thing from aggressive. It featured Kendrick singing over jazzy, blues-fueled production, with the lyrics talking about Kendrick being held in a strange spiritual hold and feeling softened. The preview didn't do much to excite fans for new Kendrick music, with fans on Reddit saying that Kendrick sounds like he's only been awake for 5 minutes, or other fans defending the softer performance by saying, "Something about that is so sick though. Like, being bored while you record a sick song just drips with swag." But being bored is the furthest from how you describe previous Kendrick music. So with the softened spiritual hold that Kendrick described was encompassing him, and the vulnerability displayed on Mr. Morale, many fans were wondering what direction was Kendrick gonna go in next. Around the same time, Kendrick shared a selfie on Instagram, and just to give you guys a little bit of an idea of how the sentiment was over Kendrick Lamar in January of 2024, one fan commented on Kendrick's selfie saying, "Zero aura. And y'all trying to tell me he's a bigger artist than Cardi?" But the strangest comment came in February of 2024 under one of Joe Budden's YouTube videos. For whatever reason, way back in February of 2024, something made me screenshot this comment. It said, "Kendrick be chilling. J. Cole is amazing, but it's levels. Nobody wants Kendrick to act up again. Enjoy the peace." And with this comment being made on February 28th, 2024, it gave the rap world exactly 22 days to continue living in that peace. Because on March 22nd, 2024, Future and Metro Boomin gave us this. This was the first time in over 10 years that it felt like hip-hop had its back against the wall. The only time that rappers were this shaken up before this was from Kendrick Lamar himself on his Control verse way back in 2013. But back then, he was simply calling out everyone in hip-hop, saying that when fans think of rap, he wants to be first on their list. But now, in 2024, it was clear that Kendrick had a vengeance for one very particular individual. On his 2023 collaboration with Beyonce, Kendrick rapped, "Beyonce, yes, America has a problem. Geeked up, choosing love, while they choose violence." But now in 2024, on this Future record, Kendrick raps, "My temperament bipolar, I choose violence." And this was obviously a response to Drake and J. Cole's song First Person Shooter, where they declare the big three being themselves and Kendrick, but also hinting at the fact that they're at the top of that big three list. Themselves and Kendrick and J. Cole's song First Person Shooter, where they declare the big three being themselves and Kendrick, but
American Golden Boy. I don't think no black people in the picture. That nigga that bar mitzvah.
also
Got to
hinting
be
at the
local.
fact that they're at the top of that big three list, with Drake and Cole doing the Spider-Man meme against each other, and Cole saying that he feels like Muhammad Ali. So it's no surprise that Cole got caught in the crossfires when he heard Kendrick rapped, "F the big three, is just big me." And I think along with Not Like Us, which we will touch on shortly, Like That will go down as one of the most impactful records of this generation, marking the return of a boogeyman ready for war.
I hired an AI personal assistant to do literally everything for me. I was lazy today. So in the morning, I had hired
and a symbol of hip-hop's savior emerging from his hideaway to reclaim the throne. The song instantly went #1. It shook up the entire rap game, and the craziest part is that Kendrick released this while Drake was still on tour, just wrapping up his segment with J. Cole, with Cole being replaced by Drake's mentor, Lil Wayne. The irony of all three of these rappers each ending up with their own separate conflict with Kendrick this year, and his biggest rival, Drake, having to go out on stage night after night pretending like this song had no effect on him. But it was obvious, seemingly from the beginning, that regardless of whether or not Drake thought he could beat Kendrick in a rap battle, the thought of what was to come had Drake shook. This is him leaving an after party the night that Like That dropped. Earphones in his ear, you could only imagine he's replaying that verse over and over again. And given the look on his face, I mean, that's the look you give when you just lost your dog or something. He looked like he aged 20 years from this battle before it even begun. I mean, I could only imagine he was replaying those bars, and your best work is a light pack, Prince outlived Mike Jack, over and over again in those headphones, just pondering on what the hell he was about to say and what the hell was about to happen next.
Drake is glued to the phone because he can't believe the unmitigated audacity of Kung Fu.
Academic want to have that boy's baby so fucking bad it makes no fucking sense, bro. Like, honestly, like, when Academic blew up, I was not personally, but I was fucking with his podcast for a little bit, right? And I don't know why. It just, after a while, bro, to y'all, he didn't fall off, right? I fell off. To me, it just got watered down hella fast, bro. Hella fucking fast with Academic. And with this whole entire beef that's going on now, bro, it just like, bro, act. Like, nigga, like.
Teddy to attack the GOAT in the 9th inning after that.
Isn't it weird how Act is the only one? Well, you have all these other little white boy streamers that's, defending Drake's honor. But to me, it's just so fucking weird, bro. Like, just look at both parts and be like, Drake, you got some explaining to do. Drake, how you gonna respond to this? Or like something, bro. But it's just like, with Academic, are you getting like Kendrick, you're fucking trash. Go sit your 5'5" ass down. Drake is the best. He's the god. He's my baby daddy. I want his all up. That's just all I'm getting, bro.
And just gave us back-to-back tours, back-to-back albums. That had been on a world tour. He finally took a break and
listening to this nigga. You know what he sounds like? That Chief Keef intro. Everybody talk about Chief Keef ain't on this, Chief Keef ain't on that. I know he been running with Lil Reese and them. That nigga had shootout with the cop. That nigga been I don't know when. Ain't anybody talking other shit about Chief Keef? I'm beating their ass.
Now you want to diss the GOAT?
And Drake would go on to do a couple shows, each day passing with no response, and the world wondering, was Drake gonna pull the trigger and officially kick off, for the first time since Jay-Z and Nas, a battle between hip-hop's two largest titans? And like Kendrick rapped on Hood Politics, where he reflected on his conversation with Jay-Z, saying, I resolved inside that private hall while sitting down with Jay, he said it's funny how one verse can F up the game. That statement never held more weight than in March of 2024. Drake continued his tour, giving motivational speeches throughout it, saying that his back was straight, he's 10 toes down, he's ready for whatever. And meanwhile, to the world's surprise, Kendrick Lamar's former friend, Jermaine Cole, was really the first one to kick off this entire battle by former friend Jermaine Cole was really the first one to kick off this entire battle by dissing Kendrick Lamar all throughout his record 7-minute drill, and seemingly shifting the dynamics from being a 20v1 between Drake versus Kendrick, Metro, Future, The Weeknd, Rick Ross, A$AP Rocky, and more. Kendrick was now on the defense, having to go up against two of hip-hop's biggest players with Drake and J. Cole. But looking back on Like That, it makes you question, was it Kendrick's intention all along to have J. Cole be dragged into this beef? And how many stocks did he really have in stock for J. Cole. On 7-Minute Drill, Cole dissed Kendrick's entire catalog, calling To Pimp a Butterfly a snooze fest, saying Mr. Morale was tragic, pinpointing Damn as Kendrick's commercial peak, but claiming that Kendrick had now fallen behind and J. Cole had now caught up and was ready for war. But it's crazy how things could change just a good week later. J. Cole gets on stage at his Dreamville festival, the biggest crowd he's
Hold on. Before you pay for yet another app to manage your team, let me introduce you to Connect Team, the one platform that
he's arguably ever performed in front of, and backs out of this beef, declaring he wants no smoke with Kendrick and thinks Kendrick is one of the greatest to ever touch a mic.
Trying to find a little angle and downplay his greatness. I want to say right now tonight, how many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest to ever touch microphone? Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I. So I just want to come up here and be like, that was the lamest, goofiest shit. I pray that Kendrick really didn't feel no way. And if he did, my chin out. Take your best shot. I'm going to take that in the chin, boy. Do what you do. It's love.
Now, I know that this video is meant to highlight Kendrick's moves and music from this year, but at this point in the story, we're only in April. Kendrick has only released a 40-second verse and has already had one of the biggest rappers of this generation pull a move we've never seen in hip-hop before by backing out of this battle with Kendrick and apologizing to him on a public stage. And now it was Drake's turn. He was all alone. All eyes were on him. We're now in April of 2024, and on the afternoon of April 19th, we finally get Drake's first official response with push-ups. From the very moment that Kendrick released Like That, I had been questioning what did Drake truly stand to gain by even participating in this beef. He could have pretended like that verse was nothing but a desperate cry from Kendrick to pick a fight for no reason. And yeah, he would have looked like a sensitive rapper, but he already was a sensitive rapper. And with the sensitivity Drake displayed during his beef with Pusha T, he should have been calculated enough to realize that he could not afford for similar events to transpire for a second time around, especially with a much more globally renowned tactical rapper like Kendrick. And besides, if Drake did come out swinging, what was he going to say to Kendrick that would grant him the unanimous win from the culture? Could he throw out the fact that he brought Kendrick on his first arena tour, or the fact that Kendrick spent the last 7 years in therapy, working on himself, healing, only to come out earlier this year in 2024 seemingly on a more violent, destructive path than ever before? And with that being the case, what healing did Kendrick really do throughout those years that warranted a 5-year hiatus in silence? But instead of that, Drake chose to go the route of distracting everyone from him versus Kendrick and turning it into a 20v1. He went at Future, Rick Ross, Metro, The Weeknd, and his bars against Kendrick simply fell flat, poking fun at Kendrick's short stature, or the fact that his label took 50% of the profits of his record sales, even though Birdman probably took a lot more of Drake's profits, and Drake is now engulfed in a legal battle between his record label UMG. Or he tried comparing Kendrick's success and impact to that of SZA, Travis Scott, and 21 Savage, stating that Kendrick isn't in the big three because all three of the aforementioned names have him quote-unquote wiped down. Regardless, this push-ups track and the tailor-made track that quickly followed were seemingly enough to keep...
Hold on. This shit just... It's Dr. Dre or Drake in the bag, bro. The way he bobbing his
because
head,
all
bro.
three of the aforementioned names have him quote-unquote wiped down. Regardless, this push-ups track and the tailor-made track that quickly followed were seemingly enough to keep Kendrick in hiding for the next 17 days.
Kendrick on the clock. Kendrick is all the way on the clock.
Kendrick, where you at?
The boogeyman's coming.
Which boogeyman?
There's only one boogeyman.
I hear this whole, you're on the clock, you're on the clock, you're on the clock.
Now, neither one of them is going to make me look at somebody away because they're taking their time. Drake did what he had to do, and it looks like he's continuing to do it even with the bots game he's playing. And Kendrick is playing Silent Assassin, Kung Fu Kitty games.
Oh my God.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. Stay calm. What's the procedure?
The Kendrick Boogeyman Lamar.
Day 17, he rose. He showed a pulse.
It took me 17 days to figure the Drake out like Kendrick. Hey, yo,
And while the world thought that Kendrick's silence was him simply backing out of this battle, it obviously turned out to be the exact opposite. Kendrick released a 6-minute theatrical
Hey, chat or whatever. Kendrick sat there with the Birdman hand rub while everybody talking about you on the clock, 17 days, 18 days. Kendrick like, no. We ain't even gonna rush it, bro. Let that shit simmer. Let them talk they shit. Let them think that we ain't coming. Bro, it bro, that's all I see is just that. Like I'm telling you, that nigga was in there, Birdman hand rub, bro. Just, I bet. Like nigga.
Theatrical takedown of every aspect of Drake's personality, reputation, legacy, upbringing, family life, all while simultaneously warning him for what was to come. On push-ups, Drake painted himself as the Thanos of hip-hop, battling multiple rappers all at once, while on Euphoria, Kendrick let the world know that those superpowers were getting neutralized. Drake was spiraling, and this was not in fact a 20v1, but it was a 1v20 between Kendrick and all of Drake's ghostwriters. Kendrick called out everything from Drake backing out of his beef with Pusha T and redirecting it into a beef with the seemingly unconfrontational.
I think that nigga said it was because of Jay Prince the beef died, because if not, Drake said he was gonna get all up in that ass. Well, never mind, pause. Shit. Ew.
Pharrell Williams. He criticized Drake's presence in his son's life, comparing his own parental skills to Drake's, and while he stated that Drake did not teach his son proper morals, discipline, and values, he emphasized that it was due to the fact that Drake himself was completely void of integrity, authenticity, good intentions, and a good influence on the culture. While Euphoria wasn't exactly the nail in the coffin, it set up the foundation for the world to paint Drake in the light of being an immoral actor who brought a poisonous presence to the culture, who did not belong in the very landscape that he built his entire career upon. And with the hope of gaining cultural acceptance, Kendrick exclaimed that Drake not only garnered immense hatred for the way that he walked, talked, dressed, and more from Kendrick himself, but it was actually how the entire culture was truly feeling. Euphoria put Drake in the scope, with Kendrick ending off the song rapping, "If you take it there, I'm taking it further. That's something you don't want to do." But sure enough, fast forward to May 2024, and in the first 4 days of that month, we witnessed Kendrick piece apart his opponent with the most calculated chess moves we've ever witnessed in a rap battle. Not only did Kendrick decode Drake's personality in a much more scathing and calculated way than Drake did to Kendrick, not only did Kendrick play Drake's game better than him by dropping songs at a much more rapid pace and making a much larger impact witnessed in a rap battle. Not only did Kendrick decode Drake's personality in a much more scathing and calculated way than Drake did to Kendrick, not only did Kendrick play Drake's game better than him by dropping songs at a much more rapid pace and making a much larger impact on the charts, so much so that Drake had to sue his record label for defamation, claiming that they over-promoted Kendrick's records. But the most incredible part about Kendrick's entire performance is that he seemingly distracted the entire world from any allegation Drake made against him. After Euphoria, Drake quickly snapped back a couple days later with Family Matters. On that record contained allegations so brutal that if they ever come out as being true, it would destroy any artist's career, no matter how big or beloved they are. Drake came out and claimed that Kendrick not only lied to the world about his relationship with his fiancée, Drake not only dismantled all of the integrity and loyalty amongst Kendrick's inner circle, claiming that his longtime friend and manager Dave Free had an affair with his fiancée.
Sound like a little bitch move, right? It sound like when you fuck around with somebody, right? And you're like, oh, nigga, that's why your breath stink. That's why you musty or some shit. Yeah, that's why your mama died, nigga. That's why your daddy don't love you. Like that type of nigga right there, bro. So basically, Drake tried to hit at the heart. He basically
Say Whitney, and Kendrick was now raising his manager and fiance's kid as if it was his own, but worst of all, darkest of all,
So first of all, you basically clowning the nigga, right? Okay, so typical. oh, nigga, that's why your fiance, your so-called fiance you in love with, that's not even your baby, nigga. That's why he had your manager baby. Like, this and the third, like, Drake knew why not to have a girlfriend because all the fuckery shit that he was doing to people, he knew that shit can come back and bite him in the ass. But at the same time, he was into I'm sorry, he was into females or he was into girls. That's what like 16, like 16, 17. We didn't even go 18, but we just gonna say 16, 17. That's the age limit for Drake. That's what Drake like, right? So of course nobody's gonna try to take Drake's girl because minor.
Far the darkest allegation in this whole battle was Drake claimed that Kendrick physically assaulted his fiance. Now, yes, being a PDF file is definitely just as bad, if not worse.
Putting your head on a woman, I don't condone. Listen, I don't condone spouse abuse, but shit, that shit happen every day, b. Y'all ain't see during the COVID year. Listen, y'all ain't hear during the COVID how much domestic violence went up. Domestic violence went up a lot during the COVID year, bro.
Worse than being a woman abuser. But again, we haven't gotten to Not Like Us yet. Those allegations haven't boiled to the surface just yet. At this point, Drake drops Family Matters, accusing Kendrick of the most heinous acts of violence and betrayal amongst his family dynamic. And before the world can sit down and digest every bar that Drake just rapped, every attack, every allegation he just revealed, with the snap of a finger, Kendrick made the world completely forget Family Matters ever existed, pulling the arguably smartest move that has ever been done in a rap battle, dropping Meet the Grams 30 minutes after Drake released Family Matters. Talking to each one of Drake's family members, Kendrick starts the song off writing a letter to Adonis, painting Drake again as an absent father who does not teach his son the proper values of a man, and instead offering to be Adonis's role model due to the fact that Drake is distracted from raising his son and distracted by the toxicity of being a famous pop star, engaging in the escort business, code switching, abusing substances, mistreating Adonis's mother, and taking disrespect throughout his entire career. Then he speaks to both Drake's mother and father, painting Drake in an even more brutal light, accusing him of being the hip-hop Harvey Weinstein, hypersexualizing black women, the very audience that made up the largest segment of Drake's early fan base, keeping S offenders on his payroll, being a predator, a manipulator, and such a horrible person that Drake's parents should regret ever even conceiving him. Now, I will give Drake this. In my opinion,
Like
the
my homeboy
one
used to
false
say,
step that Kendrick
shit.
took throughout this entire
Your
battle
mama
was on the
should've
third
swallowed you.
verse of Meet the Grams, where he pens a letter to Drake's alleged 11-year-old daughter, who Kendrick claimed Drake was hiding, like his son, from the entire world. Now, I say this
K-12 makes going back to school easy. We deliver an education that takes your child beyond.
This was a false step for two reasons. Number one, there has been no concrete evidence that has come out to prove that Drake indeed does have a daughter. Number two, and this is more a subjective take, I know that in rap battles, lies can be tossed. It doesn't necessarily take away from the credibility of that rapper's performance. However, to me, this beef reached its low point when both artists were throwing allegations against one another without any concrete evidence to back it up. Kendrick did a good enough job decoding Drake's personality to a T without having to stoop to Drake's low level by creating narratives with no factual evidence.
Drake thought this was gonna be an easy battle. Drake thought this was gonna be another like Meek Mill's like, man, that ain't I took that nigga on his first tour. Listen, I took shit bigger than him, bro. There ain't nobody watch. I'm finna drop something on my fans, finna eat it up, finna yeah, nigga, you ain't shit. You can't feed Drizzy.
Evidence to back them up.
That's
But
what they
again,
thought.
everything about this
That's what he
record
thought.
alone did the job perfectly to not only decode Drake's personality, but also distract the entire public from the bombshell of a diss track that Drake put out 30 minutes before with Family Matters. Everything from the artwork of Meet the Grams with the Ozempic pills and all of the leaked alleged personal belongings of Drake that were featured on that cover, to the incredible structure of that record, with each verse being a personal letter from Kendrick to one of Drake's family matters, where he addresses their dynamic with Drake specifically, while simultaneously critiquing every flaw in Drake and his relationship with them. This was more than enough to make every single person watching this beef carefully quickly stop what they were doing and sit with this record in absolute shock and horror, and witness Kendrick pick every ounce of Drake's personality apart, menacingly painting him as this irredeemable figure with flaws as shameful as being a degenerate, alcoholic, gambling addict, to as brutal as being a predatory, surgically enhanced, perverted, absent father who not only failed to raise his son and mistreated his son's mother, but simultaneously hid a daughter from the entire world for 11 years. Whether that was true or not, the damage was done. Kendrick took complete control of the narrative, clobbering over family matters, which Drake considered his red button, his nuke that would end Kendrick and all the rest of the rappers that he was going up against. In the span of 30 minutes, that diss record and every allegation made within it was completely neutralized. And while the world recovered from the brutality of Meet the Grams, Kendrick refused to even let his own diss record breathe, as on the next morning of May the 4th, Kendrick played Drake's game better than he could ever play it. You could find a million breakdowns of Not Like Us and why the subject matter within it has caused irreparable damage to Drake's career, but I want to take you guys through a couple specific reasons as to why that song was one of the greatest records and moves ever made in a rap battle. Firstly, as we saw before, after Drake released Push Ups, everyone doubted Kendrick due to his silence. Even though it took Drake longer to respond with Push Ups after Kendrick released Like That than it took Kendrick to respond to Push Ups with Euphoria, Like That to Push Ups was 22 days, Push Ups to Euphoria was only 17. Maybe because of the prior long leap of silence Kendrick took between Damn and Mr. Morale, many people took Kendrick's silence between Push Ups and Euphoria for weakness.
I don't know. I don't think Kendrick's cooking up. It don't take him 3-4 weeks.
Why do we even have Fat Joe in the fucking mix, bro? Fat Joe haven't been relevant since 2006. All right, 2006, 2000, bitch. When did Fat Joe drop his last album?
Deep will look at Fat Joe's highly anticipated studio album, Family Ties album, which arrives on Friday, December 6th. It's being Fat Joe's last. The album has a notable list of features that include,
of course, he gonna bring Eminem in this shit, right? I'm gonna just do it like this. I just hold on. Okay, well, I guess he dropped the album recently. Well, I guess he's been dropping album, but ain't nobody been talking about the fucking album. Like, how the this nigga, listen, this nigga done dropped albums in 2024, Family Time 2019, bro. Like, and ain't nobody talking about this shit. And I said 2006. Well, I should have just said 2008, but like. Yeah. Fat Joe started popular thing. He dropped the first album in 2001, 2002, 2005, 2006, 7, 8, and 9. We ain't going from 10. I ain't hear no Fat Joe, bro. I ain't like. Like, it have to be some actual meat sucking, bro, because it's just like. Y'all refuse just to be like, we gotta see. We gotta like y'all jumped the gun so much on it. Maybe it was just because the battle between Drake and Meek, bro. But I feel like a lot of people jumped the gun during this beef. Like, man, Kendrick ain't respond yet. Drake done won, bro. Like, even if he ain't respond yet, bro, Drake is good, bro. He's still like there's something behind all this shit that we don't know about, gang. And I'm telling you, this shit is weird as fuck. How nobody even try to, like, everybody just, I'm already, nigga, we stand on the left side. Fuck the right side.
I think that's over. It don't take 3 or 4 weeks.
Also, possibly due to the new precedent that Drake set in his beef with Meek Mill, where he went back to back, the internet now concocted this narrative that rappers had to be on some sort of time clock during a rap battle. It's like they forgot that Ether and Takeover were released months in between each other, but because of how quickly Drake came with Back to Back, it was no longer about how poignant your diss records were, but instead about how quickly you could concoct them. And with that being the narrative before Euphoria, after Not Like Us, Drake and all of his minions were begging Kendrick to quit. Drake's affiliates went from saying tell that boy to drop, but he knows he can't because he doesn't have anything, to Drake unofficially bowing out of this beef on the Heart Part 6, saying that he knows Kendrick's going to release something 30 minutes later, and Drake essentially was done.
You got 10 more records to drop, and you go and drop the West Coast one. I would like that one. That would be some shit I could dance to if you wasn't tripling down on some whole other bullshit. I'm happy I can motivate you.
Meet the Grams put an end to the time clock narrative, but Not Like Us put an end to the battle completely. The narrative was no longer how quickly will Drake respond to Not Like Us, but instead, how will Drake ever recover from Not Like Us? Not only did Kendrick play Drake's game in terms of going back to back in a quick amount of time, but he did so with a hit song that will stand the test of time for generations to come. Even rappers who were defending Drake throughout most of this beef had to admit that Not Like Us will grow to be a generational timeless classic. Fat Joe compared it to a song like In the Club or Lean Back, with quotables that fans will be singing.
This is the diss song, alright? In the club, yeah, I know, but it was just the simple fact that it was like, even Joe said it's gonna be another one where it's like lean back. Like, no, bro.
For years to come. And 50 Cent, one of Drake's biggest defenders, justified Drake's lawsuit by stating,
check out.
Alright, man, I'm gonna get at y'all on the next one. If y'all want me to finish this video, give me about like 10 likes. I don't give a fuck. 10, 13, 20, 100 and something. I don't care. Catch y'all on the next one. Be safe, stay safe. Like always, hit that big